a son. He was devoured by earth. There was a God. They call him the Father. And there was a means to make a valley with grace out of this hole that I've dug for me. He made a valley of grace.
Welcome to the Valley of Grace podcast, helping women reclaim their power and identity so they will know they are enough. And today I have a special guest with me, and her name is Ashley Cutler. Welcome, Ashley.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for coming and taking the time out to come on our podcast. So we'll just start off without further ado, having you to tell the audience your life story.
Absolutely. So my name is Ashley Cutler, and recently my name has changed because I got married. So it used to be Ashley Wall, but now I'm Cutler. And I am 28. I'm going to be 29 or heart for people. And so I kind of found myself being in like helping professions, and helping roles and being a listener for my friends and things like that. And so that led to my journey in going into social work and becoming a therapist, mental health therapist.
Wow.
And recently I've just started to kind of get, and I'm like, what are you doing? I don't want to go in this direction. I want to
That's okay, Lord.
But he kept opening more and more doors. And then I kind of just looked up and found myself one day working with people all day, which isn't bad. I'm an introvert. So I tend to, want to, stay to myself. But I work in professions where you don't stay to yourself. You talk to people on a regular.
Right.
So it made me learn some things about myself and, what really an introvert means. And that just means I need to have some of my alone time to myself, but, that I can be able to connect with people on a larger scale than, I maybe thought of in the past. And so that's been, really great. And then another part of my life story is just that, dealing with like an autoimmune disease since the age of 16. And anybody that has had medical problems, especially major ones, knows that that becomes a part of your life, because you start to have to go to medical appointments, you have to take medicines. Those things are everyday or regular routine. And so you have to factor those things into how you, take care of your health, of the things that you do, not letting it overtake your mind. That's a big thing when it comes to medical problems and things
Right.
change very fast in your life. So that influenced a lot of things in my life as well, and just being able to really focus on why should I take care of my health, and understanding the emotional component of autoimmune disease. I'm not sure if you know too much about it, but a lot of times depression and anxiety kind of coincides with autoimmune diseases.
That is true. I have an autoimmune. Yeah.
Getting those sometimes somatic symptoms connected to the psychological symptoms that were going on. And so me being able to get help for the autoimmune disease, it actually led me to get help for my mental health at the same time. And I don't know if that would have happened as early as it did if I didn't get sick.
Gotcha.
People don't see the signs, they don't notice. You put on the face, you put on the mask.
You do. Yep. We put on the mask and keep going.
Yeah, and you say everything's okay, everything's fine. But then deep down that something's not right or something.
Something's not right. You're not feeling that 100%.
Right.
normal you, so to speak, that you are used to. You know something's going on.
Right. Or that, you're just having experiences, you're not able to talk with them about it.
Right.
So that really changed a lot of things for me. And that learning about my own mental health, that also influenced getting into social work and mental health therapy because I had to learn. But it'll come clear at some point. But it definitely takes time, and it takes living, the hard parts of life, and trying to enjoy the good parts of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So
Wow.
that's a little bit about my story and some of the things that I've been through and the things that I think that have influenced why I am the way I am today.
Wow. Now, so you're a coach and is it an LCSW?
Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
licensed clinical social worker. So
Okay.
I have a license to practice. I was doing mental health therapy primarily. This pandemic really changed things for me in terms of knowing how much mental health therapy that I can do while still taking care of myself. So it was just I was in a job situation that kind of the self care was very needed, but
Okay.
I could only do it at a minimum.
Yeah.
And it felt like as the pandemic and there was just more demand. I know a lot of therapists have talked about feeling so overwhelmed with
Mm-hmm.
with the already existing problems that people were dealing with, but then you have a whole slew of people that are also dealing now with new problems that they had never encountered, especially financial. um,
Right.
those are the hardest sometimes situations to deal with because you can't change it for the patient,
Nope.
where it's the system is messed up, that there's like a shortage of housing and certain things that they need.
Right.
And so when you listen to someone, you're like, yeah, I can imagine how stressful that would be. Like that would be stressful for anyone, but not being able to do anything about it other than just listen to them, which
Mm-hmm.
some people need, but sometimes it gets to you.
Oh,
Um,
I can only imagine because, it's somebody you're helping and there's only so much you can do, like you said,
yeah,
hoping and praying things will get better for them, praying for them outside of the session. But what else can you do? You can't do anything, like you said, if it's something financial. So yeah.
and grief is
Mm-hmm.
the other big one because of people losing people to other health reasons, but also to COVID. And so that was a big thing that was coming up. So I just feel like I needed to scale back on the mental health therapy piece, but I still very much wanted to help people. And so
Right.
I was trying to figure out, and then I came across a woman. She's also a licensed clinician, but she also did coaching. And so she was talking about how you can use that as a way to help people. And it was so random because I think I was like on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I was just scrolling like I normally would, and there was like this ad, and it just kept popping up. Well, who is this lady? And why does this keep popping up? So, it was like a free workshop, and I signed up. Um, her name is Grishelle Sherborne.
Mm-hmm.
Signed up, and then I saw the picture of how coaching could help me, and so then that's when I said, okay, well, I'm going to scale back on the mental health therapy. I can do some coaching and still help people. And primarily, my coaching is with Christian women, so that has really helped me because then that's helped with my faith and my
Yes.
relationship with God. And so it's just such a vital part of my life, my beliefs. And so it helps me to be able to connect what I like to do of helping people with something that's very important to me at the same time. So I think that that's very cool and not always an opportunity that you get within mental health therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would talk sometimes with people about religion, but you have to be very careful about it. It has to be something that, it's an influence or something big to them that they want to
Right.
include. You don't want to just be talking about religion in general because it can get very controversial. And then they want to know what your religion is, and that just becomes too much and
Mm-hmm.
an ethical conversation that you want to have with people of those boundaries, but people can get really upset very quickly, even if they say that they're okay if your religious beliefs are different.
That's true.
It's a very touchy subject. So, I really didn't have that platform to really talk about it in that sense of mental health therapy. So coaching allows me to have that opportunity. And then having two different ways of helping people, I think has been helpful in my self-care, because that I don't feel like I'm obligated just in one way
Yes.
to connect with people and to help people and to, you know, have those passions come out.
Yeah. And it's something you said that because it seems like as of lately, I've been hearing that it's a lot of mental health therapists that are also doing coaching, doing both of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it is that, sometimes you kind of have to have those different ways. I think with this pandemic, that definitely a lot of therapists realized maybe how burnt out they were, or became very burnt out
Mm-hmm.
during the need, that's there. Um, and I really enjoy doing both.
Mm-hmm.
They have different aspects of them,
Right.
and so I can appreciate, the differences about them. So, it's not necessarily one is better than the other. It just depends on maybe what a person needs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes in therapy, you are kind of using those coaching skills. So you already have those skills. You've already learned how to do them.
Hmm.
But it just shows up differently. And so with the coaching, it allows you to be more present, like more accountable.
Mm-hmm.
When you work with somebody in therapy, you may give them a goal to work on. You guys may establish a goal, or you may talk about what the person wants to work on. But they go out
Gotcha.
of your office and they either will implement it or they won't.
That
And
is true.
you'll meet with them maybe a week, 2 weeks. I know my job was very busy, and so there were some people that needed weekly appointments, and they just weren't able to get it because of how my schedule was. So really, the accountability is, hey, okay, how was, your last week or last 2 weeks been?
Right.
What did you did? Was there anything that changed or that you got done? The accountability isn't as strong, whereas coaching, the accountability is right there.
Mm.
You're able to be a little more present and active in the process. Then therapy, it really is up to the person to kind of work on it. And they typically have to work on it somewhat alone, because you're not
Okay.
able to be as present during that week. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do. And
Coaching, you could have check-ins and stuff. And
right, right. And then, another thing I noticed too, because I'm a podcast junkie. So not only do I have my own, but as far as me listening to others, I probably got 40 something podcasts on my phone, literally.
Mhm.
But the other thing I noticed from listening to different podcasts from, Black women, them saying that for those at least that were the mental health therapists, some of them also mentioned about that layer of everything that went on with racism in 2020, adding to the stress of the pandemic that we were in already. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. And that's always something that I've talked with my patients about, even the ones that weren't black, of how do you feel about the things going on. And people have their different opinions, but for a lot of people, the election was very, very stressful, brought a lot of anxiety and
Okay.
the outcome. And then also, yeah, with everything that was going on with the shootings and stuff, that was a big stressor for a lot of people, and just for them to feel like unsafe, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just added on to what we were already dealing with the pandemic. Is
Mm-hmm.
now we have these things that are still going on, and it's hard, because it's like you're not seeing the change happen. Um,
Right.
it makes it even more of a stressful thing of like, this is happening yet again,
Right.
again and
Right.
again.
Right. Right. And you can only, absorb so much, and it affects you, especially, Black people in general, not just Black women, but just in
But Black
general.
people in general, we're
Right.
traumatized by it.
Right.
And
Very traumatized.
every
Right.
time that we see another video, we're getting traumatized, and we may not even know it or might be aware of it. We might be saying, well, I watched that video. It didn't have any impact on me. For the person that says that, it doesn't bother them, there's still some impact on our brain.
Mm-hmm.
When we watch those types of videos and violence being done towards us. And so even if, you don't notice the impact, it has an impact on your DNA, your mind. So it's just really amazing how like trauma has such an impact on us without us even knowing.
Yep, that is so true. Yep, that is.
Every time we're
Oh my
exposed to trauma, it's having an impact, and it just keeps building and building. And so we're just being traumatized with seeing these things, and to know that these things happen on a regular. Think about all the stuff that we haven't seen, and the people that get killed that aren't talked about.
That is true. You're right, because it's a lot that we don't know about. It doesn't make the news, but it's like every day for us. And
Right.
then, like you said, you can only, absorb so much,
Right.
When all of that is going on. And I know I found for myself, like the responses of people about the situation re-traumatized me,
Absolutely.
and how you don't expect something to happen, but it's just like I felt like a dagger had been stuck in me. Listening to responses.
One of the things I noticed is people talking about the responses of their family members or friends or people that they thought they were really close to, and then hearing them say something contrary to what you would expect from them.
Yes.
And noticing that division that came from, everything that happened with George Floyd and so with the election, that it caused people that, otherwise would be close, but expressing their opinions of saying, okay, you weren't the person maybe that I thought you were, or, I didn't expect that from you. And so, the responses on social media and all of those images, I don't know if you remember all those memes and images and information.
I remember the memes that on social media. There was a few things people had posted. Yeah,
that was just horrible.
It was horrible. And like you said,
mm-hmm.
When you friends with certain people, like you said, you thinking they're on my side, but then once this happened and you hear the responses, and then you're just like, oh wow. And then it's like you're re-traumatized as if the event happened again because of their response to George Floyd and the other people before him that were killed. But then it's like your mind is like, oh Lord, God help me, because then you're starting to think like, do I need to even continue this friendship? You see what I'm saying? Because it has opened up another level. There was one, as they say back in the day, as we say, no one talked about that. They felt a certain way, but they were not vocal with it.
Exactly.
So like everybody became vocal with how they felt, and then you're just like, oh, okay, so that kind of changed things.
Trying to digest what they said.
Right, because you're just like, oh wow. And you were supposed to be my friend. Like, I don't know if this relationship is safe for me to continue. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you know how it's different if you don't know. But like once somebody has stated how they feel, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, once they've taken a stance. And I think you're absolutely right that people came at a crossroads of, is this someone that I want to, continue with? And a person, that division going on as well. So you have those multiple layers happening. And then, when it comes to getting into relationships, I hear a lot of women say, God will send me a man. And, I agree that I will set someone aside for you to come into your life. But if you don't do anything active within that process, then, it kind of loses some of its weight. Yeah, send you someone into your life, but you also have to use your discernment.
True.
You also have to think about, where are you seeking partners?
Right.
What places are you meeting people?
Right.
Like that. And so I think sometimes we have to be a little more active in the process, so that we're making good choices. And so that when God does send you that man that's supposed to be, you recognize it. And you're not really confused with, oh, this is who I thought he said I should be with, but this is really not a person that should be in my life for, longer than a season or so, or maybe this someone that he didn't send me,
Right.
I think everyone comes into your life for a reason, but I think sometimes we hold on to people when they really should only be in our life for a season, or, maybe that would to be a long-term relationship. Maybe that person was supposed to come into your life and teach you one thing and then exit.
Right.
But here we are holding on to this person, as a long-term, relationship, or a long-term we have in our lives that may not be healthy for us. It may be toxic. And I think sometimes it is hard for people to get out of that pattern once they're in it.
Oh, worse. Yes.
If that's what you're used to. And we want to be needed, we want to, have someone want us, right? So that's a big part of it, because nobody wants to be lonely.
That's true.
Sometimes, it does require patience. It does require things like using your wisdom, using using your discernment. Is he a man of integrity?
Right.
Looking at some of those internal qualities. I know sometimes the external stuff, there's controversy. I don't know if you heard him talk, Kevin Samuels.
No, I haven't.
He talks a lot about high value men and high value women. But he has like a podcast on YouTube. A lot of controversy because of how he speaks to women and some of the things that he says. And, I think his approach could be different, but he's very direct. And so, I didn't notice how many women there were that put an emphasis on how much a man makes and some of the external qualities. I think when you put more emphasis on that, then you really lose the value of the internal qualities, and you could be overlooking some really good men.
Yes.
Would be a better fit for you. That might be what you need. And he definitely talks about that. Like I said, his approach is that he's a little confrontational, right?
Okay.
So people don't like the way that he talks to people. But I kind of was surprised at how many women would go on there and they would talk about, he has to make over, 100,000 or something like that. And
wow.
How many men are really making that much money? How many Black men are really making
there you go.
that much money? And so we have some men out here that have making an honest living, they may have a trade, and things like that, being overlooked in some ways. As Black women, our education is going up, and so we're doing our thing in college and
true.
Business, and we're dominating some things, and we're making some financial strides ourselves where we can theoretically take care of yourself. But if you want to have a relationship, there has to be some kind of, sometimes we have to just take our expectations and we really look for what's important, because you're never going to get 100% what you're looking for in a you get a good 75
yes
80%. That's pretty good, but you're not going to necessarily always get what you want. And so us being high earners, we have to understand how that makes our Black men feel.
Exactly. Yep. Because like you said, with the Black women, we are really, when it comes to education, we're getting, those higher level degrees, like that, the percentage has really increased.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we have to, have it in a way where, yes, we can have those things, but that also we know how that makes our Black men feel, but how can we connect it in a way where they feel like they're also being needed and they
Yes.
also feel like they're wanted? Because, you know, if they don't feel that, then they're not going to want to be there.
Yep.
Or it's going to be much more turmoil,
Mm-hmm.
much more confusion.
Reframe it, right?
What can I do in this situation that maybe would help a little bit? May not solve the whole thing, but maybe it would just make things a little bit easier. Maybe I just need to go back and look at some things. So I feel like empowerment really, really influences how you look at life
Got you.
and how you life, and then it'll change the way that you start to live life. And
Got you.
as those things happen, you'll notice some of the, joy, and those types of fulfillment, those emotions more so coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So
Yep.
do you think it's the same for Black women?
I think so. I think there's other things that we have to consider, though, as well. There's more things that we have to think about than other women, and other factors of how we move in society and how society sees us.
Yeah.
And so, but I do think that if we're able, like I said, to have that different perspective, not happening to me, I'm living life, I think it does make a difference. It's just that we have more things that we have to process, more things that we have to kind of navigate and deal with. And when we go out the door, there's more things as a Black person and as a Black woman that you have to consider and think about.
That is so true. From the time we leave out of our door, right?
Yep.
We leave out of our house. Yeah.
There's certain things on your mind that you think that, a white woman is not thinking about when she walks out of her door because she had to.
Right.
Right. And we learn these things very early on, and the messages. I remember when a lot of police shootings were happening with my nephew was a lot younger. I think he was maybe about 5 or so. He's about 10 now. And he, was saying that the police was bad. And I was like, why do you say that? And he says, because they're shooting us. Young kids that young can, understand that. And I was just like, wow. So just think about how young we are when these things start to come to our mind and we have to think about things.
Yeah, we form an opinion about it. Yeah.
The time that we're little.
That is so true, isn't it? And we don't even realize what, whatever belief system that we have, like you said, start to be being formed when we were little. That's when it started.
Yep. And it carries with you all to the rest of your life.
Oh my word. Yes.
We have a lot more that we have to deal with and consider.
Yep, more factors. That is so true. Yep. So now what role would you say the Black community plays in healing from their past hurts? And then do you think that the Black community played a role in your healing?
I think it definitely is important. In terms of my healing, I think to some degree, not necessarily. I remember when I when I first got mental health treatment, it was when I was 16. That was at the time also that I got sick. And I really didn't have anyone that I could go to and ask for help or to say, hey, what is therapy like? So when I was first going to therapy, I had no clue what it was going to be like. And I had no one that I could ask because no one I knew had gone. That it's on multiple levels. It makes it really, really hard. And we've seen that hurt people hurt other people.
Yes.
So a lot of times if the healing is done, then that potentially prevents someone from going out and traumatizing someone else, or, they can pass that healing on to someone else. It's almost like a contagious kind of thing,
Yes.
But the more the hurt is there and it's still lingering, and I think we end up hurting each other because we're not healed ourselves or not healed properly. And then it just, keeps feeding into it, and it just permeates throughout the whole, Black community.
After he had died, the love that refines. So much I wish I could give back, but I'm not intact to be sharing all of that. You took the price to give me that life, and now it's never gonna fade away. When I see I need more of him, he whispers the sweetest of mercies upon my ears, and I won't go back the way it was again, 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 and now a valley of grace where things would change. I've seen the lights of valley of grace where things have changed. Oh, I've seen so much for me.